directors of a private investigation company have admitted accessing personal information and disclosing it to credit unions. Margaret Stewart and Wendy Martin, who are directors of MCK Private Investigations in Greystones, used PPS numbers and dates of birth given to them by credit unions as a means of accessing further sensitive details about customers from the Department of Social Protection and the HSE. The women were each fined €1,500 and their company fined €7,500.
The first private investigators to be convicted of illegally accessing information and passing it on. 56-year-old mother of two, Margaret Stewart, and 45-year-old Wendy Martin, a single woman who cares for her elderly parents, and their company, MCK Private Investigations, pleaded guilty at Bray District Court today. They worked out of a small, innocuous office here in Greystones, from where phone calls were made to the HSE and the Department of Social Protection. On the pretext of checking eligibility for medical cards or back-to-work education programmes, unsuspecting employees gave MCK the addresses of 23 credit union members. One employee said she had been doing this for years. Any comment, ladies?
No, thanks.
Relieved it's all over?
That's it.
Margaret Stewart and Wendy Martin were both convicted and fined €1,500 on the one charge they each admitted to, while their company MCK was fined €1,500 on each of the 5 charges it pleaded guilty to. Afterwards, the Data Protection Commissioner said he was satisfied with the outcome.
We will pursue and prosecute any private investigator who is caught to be in breach of the Data Protection Act. Secondly, this is the first occasion on which we prosecuted directors of a company for breaches of the Data Protection Act. They have onerous responsibilities under data protection law to ensure that the companies that they are directors of are fully compliant with the Data Protection Act.
Today's prosecution relates to just one small private investigations company, but RTE News has learned that not only do the prosecuting authorities believe that the illegal practice of blagging confidential information is widespread, they also believe that many more credit unions, banks, insurance companies and financial institutions have been hiring private investigators to secure confidential information for them. And the Data Protection Commissioner has today warned them that they too have a responsibility to ensure that those they hire and their work for them comply with the law.
Let's cross over to Paul, who joins us now from Bray. Explain for us in detail how these data breaches took place. How did the women operate, Paul?
Well, Sharon, MCK was hired by 7 different credit unions all over the country, 2 of them in Limerick, Portlaoise, Portarlington, Athy, Monasterevin and Tullamore, to track down members who were in arrears, people who owed the credit unions money and couldn't be found. Now, the company did this by phoning the HSE and pretending to be Anne from Dr. Stephen's Hospital, or in the case of the Department of Social Welfare, pretending to be Colette from the VEC, and essentially blagging confidential information from those bodies, obtaining the addresses of members of the credit union. And they were able to do this because the credit unions themselves had supplied them with information, not just names, but also former addresses, dates of birth, and particularly PPS numbers of their members.
And as you say, these were PIs working for the Irish League of Credit Union. We have a statement just in from the ILCU. There's not a huge amount of detail in it, but they do say that they strongly feel that it's unacceptable that a situation prevails whereby private investigators are not licensed or regulated in this country, and that is something that we believe the government needs to address urgently.
Yeah, it's a 2-line statement effectively, Sharon, and it notes the legal proceedings and it calls on the government to urgently address the issue of regulating private investigators. But it's more notable for what it leaves out. It doesn't address the central issue in relation to its members, credit unions, and the fact that they handed over confidential information, its members' confidential information, particularly PPS numbers, to private investigators in this case, and it doesn't address the wider issue of credit unions or indeed financial institutions handing over confidential information to outside bodies.
Paul Reynolds in Bray, thank you.